an organ series. This is a time where we explore the written word and also some wonderful musings or improvisations on the organ after each poem. I'm going to ask for you to hold your applause to the very end, and welcome to those of you who are watching at home. We wish you a very pensive but joyful Advent. Today is our very own Sean Sexton. Sean is our wonderful poet in residence, you could say, here at Community Church. He is a wonderful human being, a wonderful writer who has won accolades across this country of ours. Sean has a very unique style of writing, and it's that makes him so special in his art. I give you Sean Sexton.
Oh my goodness. What a generous, sweet introduction. Thank you so much. I think you have a very unusual style of playing, too. In case you were wondering. Yeah, I thought so. Well, we're gathering steam. There are more of you. That's wonderful. It's wonderful. And we're going to have a great poet here next week who's coming from Gainesville, Lola Heskins. And she is a true journeyman. She's been writing poetry long before I ever thought about poetry, so you're in for a treat. This is a season of coolness in the air, and as pertains to my life, firewood and cutting wood and warmth out of the landscape as it grows there. And the first poem is called Pine Heart. The epigraph is, "Thank God for pine knots." And the person who said that was Mary Chestnut, and it was recorded in her diary from Dixie during the siege of Richmond. They'd probably burned every spare piece of furniture and probably a book or two and everything else, and they were down to gathering pine knots at that point. Pine Heart, those hard remains from a former state of the world, years concentrate like love, scattered over boundless tracts, where, they say, a squirrel could run branch to branch, gulf to ocean through stands of ancient pine, relics the cold brings to mind. Unearthed or gathered like eggs when a chill breaks upon the days, and with the light rises, recalling the true universe, all warmth, fugitive, fleeting, yet that sweetened air returns to neighborhood evenings in smoky Malinger. Now, the fallen tree, driven around 2 summers since the wind, cut and stacked, and the rotted-off post pile revisited, quickly a woodyard made in a clearing, and that confection again opening from split chunks of pine, flayed and strewn like something slain, with sharpened iron, angle and swing to divine the grain are wanting, illusory. We only need find a door between the nuts, great things in store. thinking of summer at the beginning of winter, which is where we are. The ranch is getting smaller every day. I've waited all season for this cool, I told Dion Vickers when he came to buy bulls. Yeah, but now the grass has quit growing. We stand on the brink of ruin, light and warmth vanished together, cries sound the distance. Drought has become the cold's accomplice. Tomorrow is a fearful thing. Summer was but an extended outing in another land where we were only visitors, knowing we'd return here. We cannot open a gate to anywhere but here and watch them pass through as if they were going somewhere, yet not a head down to graze. February looms like a mountain range in the distance, March imponderable in this scathing wind and indolent spring. We're in the spite of time. So I'm giving you a picture of things on the ranch. And a week from today, we're going to semen test the herd bulls and get ready to put them out in the, actually we're going to semen test them and put them out the same day and start things in motion. And so this poem is called Semen Testing the Herd Bulls. And the epigraph is, everything that matters in life flows through tubes. That was written by a German physicist, George Lichtenberg. Semen testing the herd bulls. We get an early start. Each driven from seclusion, congenial as flood-staged rivers, they set in motion on lumbering trajectories to the gate. We push them in trios and quartets. Bellowing down the lane, a rider betwixt to stage them strategically in the pens. Once arrived, the usual upstart gets thrown through a fence. And they fill the hopper one by one, brought up the runway a bull at a time for the test, as others wait, like the elderly on their scripts at the chemist. Some barely fit the squeeze, pulled behind, palpated before insertion of the probe. Then 3 moments, 3 rocking pulses, a crystalline slide of half-lives in the lens. I see a whole semi-load of calves, is the shout. Boss says, worm him and turn him out. Obviously, he's schooled in the discipline of bovine tango. So apparent. Where do you study that? You don't know.
I'll talk to you later.
And so if you put out the bulls, naturally, this time next year, you'll have calves. This is called hidden. We make our Monday rounds to rope, tag, and mark up the weekend arrival of newborns, invade a young cow's solitude, evidence itself, along with her swollen udder and mucus string amid smears of umbilicus, as if a cheap firecracker had gone off back there. She's hollow, my son declares, same as old boss would have said a lifetime ago. Now the game is on, something new to the world in her face as she faints away towards some vague apparition on the horizon. Use a lie, Uncle Eddie would call out to her little roosts when they were his days, his calves to find. We search dark hollows in the coffee weeds, check among smutgrass clumps, late summer deeps in the greensward, filling fields like a moon-driven tide. He could be anywhere, everywhere, and often we abandon our quest for fear of finding him by running him over. She watches us, comes running as our mock bleeding draws her out. We imagine we're getting close as she's suddenly more animate. Then she fades, warmer or colder, we wonder, hunting like a lion to get the drop on a world both generous and stingy. Only the day different that might save a mortal chase should he find some infant thing in its hiding place. No less the grazers hurry ahead of the throng to a fresh ditch bottom where new sweetened lengths have returned, or the crow searching to steal what the mockingbird spent all season to conceal. So we must find the calf, the jubilant calf. I came upon this little creature one morning. It was a frosty, clear, beautiful morning, such as we have many of these days. The just-born jubilant calf, no sooner on his feet, and he's bucking, cavorting, exalting in this world. He's wet as if he'd just waded from a ditch, his shabby feet soft to the sharp, dry thatch. Yet how he plies them in his wobbly dance, kicking the sky with no idea of his station in the morning light. In an hour, he could outrun a lion and breathlessly hide in a clump of grass. For now, he celebrates his own great accident, newling of life's sweet happenstance. Seems to be a season of imminent marriages, weddings, as it was last year when two dear friends of ours got married. This is the wedding dance. At the fond celebration of a young couple's wedding and an evening worn on, the DJ called for a spouse's dance. He put on a single as we assembled, and soon the most recently joined had to stop as he shouted, "A year." Several left at 2 when he continued his count. 3, 4, 5, and the next and the next. Music changed several times in the course. 8 years, 10, 12. As in a game of chairs, they departed. Another song, and we danced on. 15, 20. How was it we were still there, holding each other in the unseemly, dank, small-town moment, swaying along in the blaring kitsch of a beleaguered soundtrack? 25 and 3 remained. 30 trimmed us to 2. 32, 34, 35, and we danced time away, each number another step. 36 and 7, we knew it soon over. 38 years, and we left the floor. The last couple, it wasn't even close. They finally quit at 46. This is a little bit of a reprise of the program of the South. And I think many of you might not have been here, so I'm going to gladly do it again because it's the time of year. It's the time of the mast. The ancient oak has waited long to speak, sending admonishment or laughter ringing of this season as the mast strikes the roof in ongoing repartee. Hot little nouns drop, turn verb at the last moment, clatter and pound any hour of day or night, to invade even our dreams with shock and surprise, spoken in particles or whole broken branches full of leaves and corns. They arrive like missives from the reaches, so we worry the sky really is falling. While all gone unsaid between us, and our taciturn neighbor litters the terrace in daily memos of arboreal matter, as we are blind to complication overhead, also do we step unshod out of doors upon the transcript in Braille. Our erasures and redactions given with broom and blower, but no matter, there's always more to come, always more must needs be said, takes all season, so we might wonder how any peace keeps between us the rest of the year. How long, in these terms, the infant mango must delay bloom and fruit, or the budding guava's ascent upon shaded rungs, while we barely know when to hold our tongues. Oh, how trees keep better track of time than we. So the wise, mysterious, and estrus of nature, cattle that calve every other year, post-vernal appearances of spider, dauber, and swallow, the locust's periodic wakenings, certain seeds after centuries, or flush of toadstools from one kind of rain but not another, each to a time and season for every purpose under heaven. Color of the world, sestina. The sestina is kind of an unusual form, and it's difficult to, especially to bring off in a reading, because it has ending words for each line, 6 lines in every stanza, and an envoy at the end that has those words, although the words are allowed to take their different tenses and forms. Color of the world, sestina. Blood is inside the world, flowing, brightening and waking the dark. And rain sharpens the grass, hiding drought, stealing color, filling barren fields to clothe them in plenty. What is most alive? Which the dying? What is the color of the world? Death is sumptuous and grand. Yellow flows from entrails of a crushed moth. Plenty escaping like water from ice. Darkness is gravid, swollen in shadow, yet fully surrounded in light. Hidden, but dark and light never hide from bright, insistent death. Napoleon was colorblind, saw full fields of blood like grass flowing, greening his garden of killing, darkening with harm, ruining plenty. Blue is the night and day, the plenteous eye of heaven, olden, hiding in the immeasurable dark, and morning is but light, dying into night, when all color flows like fallen rain, filling ground high and low, as grass fills fields, seeds drop and vanish into plenty, to emerge and rise shimmering, flowing toward winter and ice, and hide again in fading light, lost to death, dwindling in darkness. Color buries in light, darkens, wanes, vanishes in fulsome night, where ice has grown to die in the bright. But light plentiful changes, falls, fails, hiding like blood inside, ever flowing, closed in dark, dead only to rise and fill the morning, hide the night, flow from plenty into color of the world. in conclusion, we had Rick Campbell come and read during the Lenten series last year, and he's going to come back. We don't often have poets come right back, but we just didn't get to the bottom of that guy, and he was willing to come. He'll come in March and maybe be able to attend a spring training game because he's crazy about baseball, and particularly the Pittsburgh Pirates, where he was born and raised. And so there is a form in poetry, poem letter, and I've read many and admired many and written a few. And I wrote him one. I wrote him two, actually. This is the second one. Sharon always says, don't finish on a down note, and if I read you the first letter, I would be doing that. And so I'm going to avoid that and read the second one. And so I don't think this is on a down note, but who knows? Anyway, you'll notice the 21st century, it's unavoidable. It just keeps creeping into everything you do, doesn't it? I mean, the cultural condition of a pandemic and our retreat to the virtual world, and by the same token, we're recording and Zooming this event right now. And anyway, letter poem number 2 to Rick Campbell. Rick, as you read on your Zoom last evening, I watched from my phone. The vagrant signal would come and go, but your words shone through, remaining strong, and, may I confess, I was standing in a swimming pool all the while up to my chest, the device propped upon the coping against a glass of whiskey. It's almost hard these days to admit how the 21st century offers such juxtaposition. Out across the way, the western sky was taking place, sun already down, but reaches of a large formation climbed into heaven illumined as veils of rain fell between its layers, so far away they almost seemed something else. And I realized it was brighter out on Alligator Point where you sat reading, your face not quite in silhouette, than my wet, faulty omniscience at the edge of a pasture 250 miles down the peninsula on another coast. I began to wonder if darkness didn't fall upon the earth like a soft veil, south to north, and we to follow, giving ourselves over to that certain peace we continue in our dreams when time comes to close our eyes. As you read in your disparate, resolute manner, always mixing each wistful poem from your traipse through life out of precedent and often subsequent story, I imagined you always headed towards certain nothingness as an aim, and was left wondering for myself and my own life if we might all be riding toward our ultimate dissolution from the world. You said as much yourself in the end, and just as my signal began to fail, for I'd started the program unwittingly without enough power, the metaphor is staggering, I suffered your small dying, coupled with day's end, and the inescapable arrival of the dark.
Folks, thank you for joining us for this time where you can escape and where I can escape as well. Always something fun and unusual with Sean. Join us next week, but I would also like for you to join us this Sunday night at 7 p.m. We have our annual Christmas celebration, which features our musicians and our ensembles here at Community Church. 7 o'clock, you're going to want to come early to claim your seat. And thank you for being with us.